over the past couple of years as I've been living at the Abbey, I've noticed this very pervasive mental habit of comparing myself to others. And I wanted to find out sort of what's the origin of this? Why is it that I'm so habituated to comparing myself? And so I thought back on my life, and I thought about what I was doing in school. So I was in science fair and history fair and the thespian competition and music competition, and I raced, and everything was about competition. All of everything I did in school. Yeah, who's best? Trying to get the best grades, the gold star. It was all over the place. And then I thought about what I did after I got out of school. Trying to get the best job, trying to get a promotion, acquiring many professional licenses. And then I thought about what happens in society. There's beauty pageants and game shows and reality TV and professional sports. And all of it's about competition. And then I thought, okay, well, so I'm habituated because I've been doing it my whole life, and everyone I know has been doing it their whole lives. And I thought about, well, what happens when I compete with others? Well, the first thing is when I don't win, I get very jealous. There was a year when I was in the science fair and in the history fair, and I placed second both times. And I vividly remember storming out of the cafeteria, walking right past the winner, slamming the door, getting into the car, and my mom looks at me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, oh, I'm furious. And then I had this friend in undergrad in architecture school. And I considered her a friend. And I was talking with some other classmates about me and her. And they said, you would walk all over her to get ahead. I thought, oh, am I really like that? And it was like, yes. How is she my friend when I'm competing with her? And then my senior year of high school, I got the lead part in a play. And I was so excited, I was Bat Boy. In the musical Bat Boy. But one of the other cast members did not get Bat Boy. And he was very jealous of me. And we had a really difficult time. And it was really stressful. There was so much pressure. And it was awful. And I stopped doing musical theater after that. And then I got the quote, quote, best job out of my grad school class. And I worked 50 hours a week. And I was traveling. And it was awful. So, what do I do at the Abbey? Well, so I'm sitting there in meditation and I'm looking up at the altar thinking, wow, they've chosen all tropical fruits for their offering. And they're all color coordinated, and my offering was definitely not that beautiful. I'm not kidding. Wow, more people are laughing at their motivation than laughed at my motivation. They can sit so quietly, so still, and I'm fidgeting and coughing. They wear their robes in a much neater way. So why do I continue this habit if it makes me miserable? But first of all, it's a habit. Second of all, I have determined my self-worth based on how I compare to others my whole life. So reframing my self-worth, looking more at my intention rather than the results of my actions, is something I want to do, but it doesn't come habitually. So it's going to take some work. And I am very attached to praise and reputation. But as our teachers have been pointing out to us, we really need to identify the self-centered thought and self-grasping ignorance. And I know for myself, as soon as I start comparing, there's those two. It's very clear to see. So what if I lived without competition? And I saw when I made a mistake or I wasn't as good as someone else in some area, what if I saw it as an opportunity for rejoicing? The antidote to jealousy. Or an opportunity for thought training, like, wow, this is great. I came last. Or I got criticism. Or an opportunity for humility or compassion. So there's the Nectar of Manjushri's speech is a commentary to Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And in the section on chapter 6 on patience, there's a few verses that talk about jealousy. And in this commentary, it says very clearly, jealousy is the worst, right? So that the other disciples of the Buddha, the ones that were lustful, the ones that were angry, the ones that were ignorant, they were able to be subdued by the Buddha. Devadatta, the Buddha's cousin, tried to kill the Buddha, created a schism in the Sangha, and went to hell. So just looking at that, it's like, okay, I need to do something about this competitiveness. I had a really helpful conversation with Venerable Semke, thank you, several months ago, and I confessed that I was really struggling with jealousy. And you said something that was so succinct, and I've been really thinking about ever since, which is use what you have. So simple. Use what you have. First of all, recognize that you do have talents, you do have resources that you can share, you can contribute, and do that. Get your eyes off of the other person's dingwa. Stop thinking about what you don't have. Just use what you have. And that has been so helpful as I work with this mental state. In Shantideva's training anthology, there's a verse that really gets to the heart of this mental state. And it really shows another benefit of exchanging self for others. And he says, this is in relationship to how bodhisattvas think about the achievements of others. The achievements of the sentient beings in the 10 directions are theirs as well, beyond all doubt, and they leave no opening for envy, since they think of others' happiness as their own. So not only can we take on the suffering of others, we can imagine that others' happiness is our happiness. That's really difficult to do. When I was preparing for this talk, I wanted to look up some of the antonyms to competitiveness. And one that came up really struck me, and it's harmony. I thought, oh, I've not really thought about that competitiveness is the opposite of harmony. But when I reflected back on what my friends shared with me that I act like in regards to my classmate, I can see this is really true. If I'm competing with someone, I don't like them, they're my enemy, I want to beat them. And that is not harmonious. So the fully ordained monastics have a ceremony every 2 weeks called Posada, and they confess their transgressions of precepts and recite the Pratimoksha Sutra. And in the dedication verse of that sutra, there's this line: "The harmony of the assembly is the surest factor for nirvana." Okay, I need to drop my competitiveness. So instead of spending the rest of my life like I've spent the first half of my life, or a little less maybe, I really aim to replace this competitive attitude with one of support, wanting to benefit others, wanting to create harmony. Because I'm seeing more and more clearly that competitiveness is a lose-lose proposition. I suffer if I'm lower, I suffer if I'm equal, and I suffer if I'm higher. And increasing harmony is a win-win proposition. It leads to my happiness now, the happiness of the community, and the full awakening of Buddhahood.
Today is Mother's Day, and your talk made me think of how mothers and fathers rejoice in their kids' success. So what you were saying about taking on the happiness of others, I think parents very often do that. Yeah. So maybe we should give them some credit. Yeah.
Thank you, Mom, for pointing out my jealousy.
Yeah.